Good evening. This is a meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow. Will you rise with me as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. We remember those members of our community who passed since our last meeting at every regular meeting, and since our last meeting, we lost Miriam Franson at the age of 104. She passed at home on Highland Avenue. Our congratulations on a life that must have been very well lived, certainly long lived, and our thoughts are with her family and her friends. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, first up, we have a warrant which was distributed earlier by the treasurer. For the record, the warrant is $675,594.34. If there's any questions on the warrant, please raise them now. I believe the treasurer has also pointed out there's a couple of major items on the warrant which you might want to highlight. Yep. Well, a couple would be two, right?
Yes, sir. One was our health insurance in the amount of $198,247.62, and one was our water bill in the amount of $124,469.88.
Okay. Any questions for the treasurer or anyone else on the warrant?
Motion to approve the warrant.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed or abstentions? And the warrant is approved.
Thank you.
We have the minutes of December 10th and January 2019 and January 7th of this year that were distributed earlier. We'll take them one at a time. Any comments on the minutes of December 10th?
Move to approve the minutes of December 10th.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions?
Abstain.
Please note the abstention. All right, the minutes of January 7th. Any comments on the minutes? And can I get, wait, it does say I swore in, not swore at, right? The three new police. Yeah, okay. Comes later. The
Motion to approve the minutes from January 7th, 2020.
Seconded.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions?
Abstain.
Please note the abstention. And that takes care of our minutes. Announcements, the only thing, a couple of things I wanted to touch on. Just one, to wish happy birthday wishes from the board, from Bresta Village to Margaret Lukovic, lifelong resident of North Tarrytown and Sleepy Hollow. Hope I'm not giving anything away here, but seems she's celebrating her 103rd birthday. So happy birthday. And yes, your wish is granted, we will not sing. Those of you who've heard us sing know why we're not going to sing. Also want to extend our best wishes and thanks, as always, to our police officers in the Sleepy Hollow Police Department. January 9th, which is just a few days ago, was National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. And we truly appreciate the work that the officers here in Sleepy Hollow do. More than we appreciate the work for other officers around the country. We appreciate them as well, but you guys have been doing a great job for us, and thank you again for that. Chief, please pass that on to your folks. I would also, it's the beginning of the year still, anyway, it's January, and just for the board, I would just remind folks that as you look, you plan throughout the rest of the year, there's a number of opportunities with NICOM and some of the other organizations that support municipal offices in the state for training events and other things that I think can be really valuable. So take a look at those and think about what you might want to do during the next 11 months. Also, next week is Martin Luther King's birthday. Like many other famous people, he was apparently born on a Monday. So we and others will be celebrating that, and Village Hall will be closed, and the sanitation routes and other things will all be bumped back a day, as we normally do when we observe a holiday. So please have a safe one. We're going to move on to department reports, and we'll start with the clerk, Ms. McCarthy-Tompkins.
So this is the time of the year where I usually inform you of all the permits that we've issued throughout the year. You have a form in front of you. For the, God bless. For the clerk's office, we issued a total of 821 permits, totaling $192,575. Different kinds of permits you have in front of you. And for the registrar's office, we issued multiple birth certificates. We had 954 babies that were born last year at Phelps. One of them was born at home on purpose.
Thanks for the clarification.
Sure. We had, unfortunately, 79 fetal deaths. We had 248 deaths. All in all, we have to do corrections and process a lot of paternity paperwork. We processed 4,177 copies in total, totaling $38,110. And that is all the information I have for today.
Thank you. Any questions for the clerk? Okay, thank you.
Sure.
We'll move on to recreation. Mr. Arone.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Recreation and Parks report for January. Some recent events, December holiday events I want to report on. We did Santa's mailbox in December, and it was a huge success. We helped out Santa this year with over 125 letters, and I want a special thanks to the Sleepy Hollow Post Office for allowing us to house a special mailbox that was designated for the North Pole only, so I want to thank them. The tree lighting and pictures with Santa and a horse-drawn carriage rides on Beekman Avenue had a good crowd thanks to the mild temperatures that night. Everybody had plenty of cookies and other holiday treats. For the third year in a row, we hosted a painting class for the senior citizens down at the Galgano Senior Center back on the 20th of December. We had over 25 seniors paint their own pictures, and they got to take them home for the holidays. So we're going to plan on another event like that near Valentine's Day. And I also want to give a special thanks to the high school chorus back on December 16th. They came down to the senior citizen group building and sang to the group holiday songs for everybody. So I want a special thanks to them. Some ongoing programs. Our after-school program, of course, is still going, started in September, running all the way through June. And that's 2:30 to 6 o'clock down at the center. We started a youth basketball program this winter for 3rd through 6th grade, and that's for the girls. It's been going well. To remind everybody here, these grade levels were previously run through the TNT program, but with their cooperation, the recreation departments are now involved. So Tarrytown is running the boys program, and we're running the girls teams here. And we have a 3rd and 4th grade team and a 5th and 6th grade team, and they've both had 2 games already. I've been to the 5th and 6th grade and the 3rd and 4th grade team, and they're having fun, and it's a great program, so we're happy to have started that program. We're also running a youth wrestling clinic for kids in grades 1 through 6. The 1st through 3rd graders go on Mondays, and the 4th through 6th graders go on Wednesday, and that's up at the wrestling room at the high school. That's going very well. And our 1st and 2nd grade basketball clinics began this past Friday, the 10th. We have over 30 kids in that class, and they meet 3 o'clock at the Moore School. And some senior programs that are ongoing are yoga on Mondays, our senior fitness classes on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We do a walking club on Thursday mornings and the knitting group on Fridays. Some upcoming events are youth chess programs for kids in grades 1 and up. That's going to start on the 25th of January. That's 8 Saturdays at 3 o'clock at the Galgano Senior Building. It's going to be instructed by the National Scholastic Chess Foundation. If anybody's interested, it's $165 for the program, and you can register at the rec offices. Also, we have a trip to the Westchester Knicks game at the Westchester County Center. It's being planned for Wednesday, February 26th. Transportation and game tickets will be included for the 7 p.m. start. This event is part of the Washington Irving Bicentennial Celebration. So if anybody out there, adults or kids, are interested, just call us down at the Senior Center at 366-5109, and we'll make sure you get some tickets to that game. And some of the spring programs we're planning right now, we have our T-ball for 4 and 5-year-olds. That's going to begin in April. We have a new pickleball program for adults. That's going to be in April, and we're going to do that on the courts, the platform tennis courts. And also save the date for all the residents. April 11th will be the spring egg hunt at Douglas Park, so save that date. Some park items. We're still working on those heating units at the platform tennis courts. As I mentioned to you guys before, the heaters are installed. We're just working on the tedious problem with the propane heating and the electric. Thankfully, it's been 50 and 60 degrees the last couple of weeks, so we haven't needed the propane yet. So we're still working on that. Some new park benches were put together recently by our Parks Department and placed up at the new playground at Douglas Park. And also, the park staff has been busy the last few weeks putting together all new picnic tables for the parks. The new utility tractor we ordered for the Parks Department has arrived, and right now the clerk's office is just working on getting it registered and insured so we can start using it as soon as possible. And I met with a second fence company at the lighthouse on Friday to get some more ideas and prices to fix the fencing along the rails that are part of the structure and on the little bridge, because we have that chicken wire there that it needs to be removed. It's unsightly and it's dangerous. So we're working on getting some new fencing for that walkway to the lighthouse. Just a few other items. I've been continuing to attend those meetings for the Athletic Study Committee up at the high school. Members of the community that have an interest in our athletic programs are being educated on many different topics by our athletic director. If our residents haven't done so already, they should sign up for our online registration program, which is Community Pass. Register at communitypass.net, and then just register under Village of Sleepy Hollow, and then you'll be able to register for all our programs online for your convenience. And the final thing is just a reminder, the senior citizen bus goes shopping each Wednesday morning. If any senior citizen is in need of any transportation to get groceries or any other items, give us a call down at the office at 366-5109 on Mondays or Tuesdays, so we can arrange for you to get a ride to the grocery store. That's my report. Does anybody have any questions or comments I can help you with?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, and now we'll have a report from the Chief of Police, Chief Boetti.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For 2019, the Sleepy Hollow Police Department responded to 19,333 calls for service. We accumulated 253 arrests, which is down about 65 arrests from last year. Summonses were up by about 300, totaling 3,232 for the year. We've been working with Phelps Memorial Hospital on getting ready to do a drill for their hospital. It's going to involve 8 other agencies, including ourselves, responding. It's going to consist of several different incidents that have happened in the mental or in the health facility and that could happen in the health facility. We're planning on doing this in October of next year. It's going to involve shutting down a building, the 755 building. And we're meeting this week, next week, and the following week to begin the preliminary plannings for that. I'm meeting with the School Safety Committee on Thursday. We meet quarterly, and of course, one of the topics will be the incident that happened this past Friday, which was a scary incident for all involved. We knew quite quickly that there wasn't a threat, but I think Mr. Basari said it best. Due to an abundance of precaution, we left the school in a lockdown to ensure. It was great to see that the plan we drew up that took months and years of drawing up, it worked. It worked well. Everybody knew what to do, when to do it. People involved. We were able to set up a unified command, including myself, Chief Barbalette, and the school. And it went as we drew up, and everybody was always safe. I do want to thank the Terrytown Police Department. They were a great help in that incident. They dedicated 12 officers to us almost immediately, and it was nice to see that our plans worked the way that we drew them up. And it was good to see that we trained well, and we're in good hands.
Can I just interrupt you?
Go ahead.
Who's on the safety committee for
Uh,
the
it's
high school? Does it
composed-
include students?
It does not.
It does not.
It does not include students.
Chief, I have a question also. So I understand that you train the staff up there and the teachers. I think you did that in the beginning of the year or the end of last year. I don't know if you mentioned that. But how much is the SRO speaking to the students, maybe in an assembly? Because it was almost like a disconnect of what's acceptable and what caused this whole event with the students, really. So,
Yeah, unfortunately, there was an arrest made.
right,
You can't really speak too much into
right,
what happened. I know the school did have several assemblies, two assemblies that day,
right,
discussing the incident and also some other logistical
right.
issues they had with the students. But the faculty, they said that they're well-trained for students out there. I had a meeting with the YPAC committee, the seniors, and they said, just follow your teachers. They're trained, they know
Right.
what to do. Just follow their lead.
Is there any plans for anybody to go up to the school and maybe present at an assembly real soon to the student body? Just the norms and importance of what happened and also how to avoid this in the future?
Yes, we were working on a seminar in conjunction with the DA's office
Okay,
on the consequences also of.
right. I think we should try,
Yes.
I mean, obviously, we need to avoid this, and it's unfortunate that this person is now, has been arrested for something that maybe 20 years ago would be trivial, and we live in a different world now, so, and these kids sometimes haven't caught up. They've caught up in a lot of ways, but not with things like this, and
20 years ago was the case that brought all this to light.
right.
So it's,
John, we're older, 40 years ago.
Right, yeah.
Kids,
so we're also reviewing our plans for the upcoming marathon and the St. Patty's Day Parade. We go through those a couple months before to see what improvements we can make and review our after-action plan from last year. The PBA and the PD, we're planning another sports day for the winter recess in February. We have a tentative date of February 20th set. We'll get back to you with time as we get closer. The toy drive, combined with the PVA and the Sleepy Hollow Police Department, was ultimate success. We received over 300 donations in toys, 300 different toys, as well as $1,000 to purchase more toys. And we did hand all of them out on the 23rd. It was a great day. Like I said, I met with the YPAC, the seniors yesterday, and as well as the adults in the PAC committee. And that was, the two recruits that we hired, they're in the academy. They completed their first week, they're now in their second week. Early reports are they're doing fine, and Officer Livisaka has started his field training.
That's great.
That's great.
How long is this field training for?
Anywhere, a minimum of 6 weeks.
So he'll work with somebody else.
Yeah, initially
How does it work?
he'll ride along with somebody for probably 3 to 4 weeks, then he'll be shadowed. He'll have his own vehicle and they'll follow him to a call rather, in another car.
Chief, thank you. I also just want to say, thanks to all of the officers and different forces who were involved in getting the burglar. I know people were a little worried about that, about what was going on. And I also, just a shout out, because local press reports didn't even mention that Sleepy Hollow was involved. And I think it was one of our officers who actually grabbed the guy.
Yes,
so-
one of our officers participating in the Greenberg Drug and Alcohol Task Force was the one that apprehended him.
I'm sorry, apprehended, not grabbed, yeah.
And it turns out that this gentleman wound up doing 18 burglaries that we know about throughout Sleepy Hollow, Terrytown, Dobbs Ferry, Elmsford, and Yonkers, as well as he had a warrant out of Greenwich, Connecticut for the same thing. He also was a 2-time convicted felon for burglary also.
Oh, this won't be good.
But, it was, once again, it's really the textbook definition of multiple agencies pooling their limited resources together to achieve a common goal. He was caught within a week.
Well, thanks. Good work.
Thank you.
Anything else for the chief? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, chief. All right, we're going to move on to public comments. If anyone wishes to address the board, you may do so. Please be reminded that please use the microphone in the middle of the room, and please be reminded that you have 3 minutes in which to speak. Does anyone wish to address the board?
Recommendation to the board?
You can make recommendations, you can make comments, you can recite a poem.
Something new or regarding to what we spoke already, what we hear already?
Anything.
Anything, but you want to, anything you want to talk about. Just use the microphone in the middle of the room, please.
Hi, good evening, folks.
I'm Robert Gillen. I'm a resident here on town for over 20 years. And I'm here today because I have very big concerns about what's happening on Big Man Avenue regarding to cars speeding, car flying in front of our church any day of the week, any time of the day. Have the opportunity to be working on 147 Big Man Avenue for 2 months, and I've been watching. I have the intention to film what's going on there, and the cars really are going as fast as 50 miles per hour. So I have a daughter who is 10 years old, and she visits me and her grandmom, and I'm very concerned because sometimes during the springtime or whatever given time of the year, she goes out and she takes the bike and rollerblades, whatever. And I'm very disappointed because I went to the police station 3 times already to make a formal complaint about what's going on. And they said that there's any particular form to complain about this. And I make a joke and say, I guarantee you guys I say that there's blood on the street down there on the sidewalk. You guys are gonna go investigate. but for a complaint like this, it's not important. I was participant 2 years ago where almost pulled out a girl from the street. She almost get killed. Nobody knew about this. And a few months ago, a girl, I believe, got hit on Big Bend Avenue. So I spoke with some of the officers. I said, I would like to make a recommendation. And they said, well, you have to go to the board meeting. That's why I'm here today. So folks, it's very important. It's just a matter of time. Somebody's going to get hit there again. I think that is a simple solution. 2 stop signs in Andrew Lane, both ways. So that way, nobody can speed between Kendall Avenue and Andrews Lane. And if it continue happening because they can develop some speed there, then we will have to think and consider into putting a bump there so people don't speed. But I think for now, it would be great and simple. 2 stop signs both ways. We have it on Kendall, we have it on Chestnut, we have it in everywhere. So, but that is a long run that people can develop as much as 50 miles per hour, and I have seen it. So that's one of the concerns that I would like you to guys, bring it into the table tonight to see that should be considered. There was an accident rate that happened, and it's going to happen again. There was almost an accident 2 years ago where I pulled a girl out of the street, that it could happen as well. And it's simple. It's just putting 2 stop signs there, and it's in your hand, guys. The other thing that I would like to talk about tonight is about also the police.
Hang on, I think your 3 minutes are up, so I have to check and see if anybody else wants to speak, and then you can come back after them. So don't go anywhere. Does anybody else want to address the board? Going once, going,
Okay.
please continue.
Thank you. The other thing I would like to talk about tonight is regarding to the police. I'm not going to say that police is not doing their duties and their jobs, but I believe that police is being a little too hard in our community today. I have seen it throughout years. 25 years ago when I moved in here, police was not as strong as it is today. For example, the 31st this year, police woke up in the morning and were giving tickets right and left for alternative parking, okay? No mercy, no nothing. I felt very embarrassed because there was a lady on Kendall Avenue who couldn't almost walk with a kink, and she got 2 tickets in less than 2 hours. The same ticket for parking, because alternative parking, because he couldn't wake up on time, she wasn't feeling good, and she's an elder person in the 80s. So I don't see the reason why the 31st of the year to come out and give tickets right and left with no mercy. I believe police is here to work with the community, not to work against us sometimes. And I also don't understand some procedures and some rules that we have today, Chief. Like, for example, 25 years ago, on a stop sign, we did not require 2 police officers to enforce and to check on the guy. Today, we block the street, we make battle jams, with 2 police officers coming to check on somebody who just passed on a stop sign. Do we really need that, you officers? Is it really, I mean, don't see it, but we got to follow the rules. And also, few days ago, actually, the day before that Thanksgiving, I was trying to help my mom, who was 80 years old, and she was moving, and we had to take some stuff out of her apartment, and I rent a garage here on Chestnut Street, and I was bringing some of her belongings to Chestnut Street, including the refrigerator. So I came with a pickup truck that I own, and I parked on the sidewalk with the idea to download as close as possible the refrigerator to the garage. It was nighttime. It was dark there. It was, somebody downloading whatever merchandise or whatever it was. In this particular case, belonged to my mom. A police officer came from nowhere, didn't ask any question, just came and issued me a ticket. And I approached him and I asked him, I said, could you give me a break? They give me just 2 minutes to download this. No, you're on the sidewalk and then I'm going to issue the ticket. I said, okay. So I start downloading the refrigerator with somebody who was helping me. And he said, you got to move the car now. I said, well, let me a minute to just download He said, no, you have to do it now. So I said, okay. I moved the vehicle and park it on the side of the road, blocking a driveway that belonged to, not the driveway, a garage that belonged to Chestnut Street. And he issued me another ticket. He said, for double parking. I said, officer, what is this? I believe the whole thing was because, believe it or not, I'm Spanish, and I'm going to take it that way. The police officer didn't approach me the right way, and he used bad language. And if you want, officer, I can talk to you later about who was that person. But these are not the attitude that we should have here in town, okay? Forces should be nicer and work more with us. Everything today is about boom, punishing, hammering. No, we should not be that way. We should have a little mercy and we should work with our community. Because I see the change. 25 years ago, it was not that way. And it's very sad. And that's going to be passed on to our kids. And it shouldn't be like that. On the other hand, one of the complaints that I did on that police station, they said that we don't have enough officers, which is I understand, to watch Big Bend Avenue for the speeding cars. But they do have time to go and take 30 and 40 minutes breaks, eating breakfast and lunches on breaks on Valley Street, mostly every day. So it's really annoying that we know that everybody has to eat, but sometimes they want to wrap us and just give us excuses, and that's not right neither.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to address the board? I will note that there's always in our regular meetings, there is 2 times when you can address the board, so there's another opportunity later on this evening. So we will move on to resolutions. I would just note that the village just last week hired 3 new police officers. And we're very proud of the fact that all 3 of those officers are from Sleepy Hollow, and all 3 of them are Spanish-speaking, native Spanish speakers. And over the last several years, we're proud of our record of hiring from the local list. So we have, Chief, at least 8 now, from 9 from the local list. So a number of our officers are local, and a number of them are native Spanish speakers, and it's something we've been making a really strong effort to do, and we're very proud of the folks that we've hired and brought on. I would also add that if you're wondering about, or anybody else is wondering about a forum to make their thoughts known, this is it right here. Every 2 weeks, we have these opportunities for folks to come in and tell us what's on their mind. And in your case, sir, the chief of police is here, as you know, this evening, so your comments are following on our ears and his ears as well. So you've been heard, and we will follow up. So thank you again. We'll move on to the first resolution. Could somebody take that?
Resolution of the Mayor and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow approving speed hump policy. Whereas the Sleepy Hollow Board of Trustees is desirous of establishing a speed hump policy, and whereas the attached draft speed hump policy has been reviewed by the village board, now therefore be it resolved that the Sleepy Hollow Board of Trustees hereby approves the attached speed hump policy. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed or abstentions? And the resolution is approved.
Resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow approving the Sleepy Hollow St. Patrick's Day Parade. Be it resolved that the Mayor and the Board of Trustees hereby allows the Sleepy Hollow St. Patrick's Parade Committee Incorporated to hold its annual St. Patrick's Parade on Sunday, March 15, 2020, beginning at promptly at 1 p.m. on Main Street in Tarrytown and ending on Beekman Avenue near Morse School in Sleepy Hollow. Said parade to last approximately 2 hours. So moved.
Seconded.
We'll let the former aide be the second on this. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Resolution's approved.
Resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow awarding curbing bid. Whereas the village duly solicited bids for the East Parcel Waterline project, and whereas ELQ Industries, Inc. of New Rochelle, New York, has been identified as the low bidder with a bid amount of $322,483, and whereas all bids have been reviewed by Dolph Rotfeld Engineering, who determined this bid to be acceptable and has recommended its approval, and whereas funds have been allocated in the 2019-2020 capital budget for this project, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees herein awards the bid for the East Parcel Waterline project to ELQ Industries, Inc. of New Rochelle, New York, in the amount of $322,483. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. I assume that that curbing in the title is a misprint. So I don't think it affects the resolution, but just when it's printed up finally, make sure that gets changed. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Resolution's approved.
Resolution of the Mayor and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow to approve contract for Water Department. Whereas the Sleepy Hollow Board of Trustees is desirous of entering into an annual contract to maintain the Water Department's cathodic protection system, and whereas a draft contract has been received by CorePro to provide this service, and whereas the Department of Public Works Superintendent has recommended entering into this contract. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor to sign the attached contract with CorePro to maintain the Water Department's cathodic protection system, subject to the approval by the village attorney. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? And the resolution's approved. That completes our resolutions for the evening. We're on to old business and new business. Last week, I said we would continue discussion on the Sidewalk Cafe proposed code amendment. Any of the things that you thought you might have they come through yet? You were going to reach out to the chamber.
He's going to put a survey out.
But do we have anything to report back on
No,
for the
because
discussion tonight?
he was meeting with them on Tuesday, and he was going to be putting a survey together and sending it out.
Then my suggestion is that we wait until we've got that and then
Spoke to him on
continue the
Friday.
discussion at that time.
I would appreciate that.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other old business or new business? I do have one thing that I just wanted to give an update on. It's both old and new. And that is regarding the East Parcel, or as we're trying to redub it, the Sleepy Hollow Common. So it doesn't sound so much like a parking lot. In December, our fundraising efforts were really successful. Again, we got a grant for $2 million to help us move our DPW facility from its current site on River Street to the backside of the Common. It's from the Climate Smart Communities Fund in New York State. The current site of the DPW almost went under during Sandy. It has come close during some other flood events. And those unfortunately seem to be happening much more frequently. So we're really pleased that New York State has recognized our need and come in with this really tremendous support. The things that are happening on the site right now are also part of the continuing infrastructure there. The site needs to be compressed before we can put our DPW there. It's a landfill, as you know, so we're bringing in 150,000 yards of new clean soil and putting that up on the eastern part of the site, and DPW is going to go on top of that. But we need to make sure that it's stable enough, it's compact enough to be able to build a structure on top of it. So the way we've gone about doing that, or the way our engineers have designed it for us, is to use a series of wick drains that work like a candle in reverse that sit on the site and put the soil on top of it. The weight on the soil pushes down. The water that's underneath rises up through these wicks and then is carried off through a series of pipes and out and into the Mechanico. The contract for that work, there was a low bidder. The contract's being worked out now. We could be seeing the contractor mobilize as early as next Monday on the site, meaning starting to bring in their equipment and evaluate how they're actually going to go about doing the work based on both the plans and the site conditions. We're continuing to bring in new topsoil, new clean soil in the meantime. Right now, with our increase that was approved by the planning board to go from 50 trucks to 75 trucks a day, we're bringing in about 6,000 yards of topsoil a week. So that's going to continue for a couple more weeks, and then we're going to have to stop while they put the wick drains and some of the other stuff in place. And then we'll start up with the importing of the topsoil again after that. So a couple more weeks of the trucks coming in like they are. Then it may be 8 weeks plus or minus that there'll be no deliveries of new soil while they're putting the wick drains and associated equipment in place. We're hopeful that it might be a little sooner than that, but we don't really know until they get on site and start doing the work. We still expect with this schedule that we'll complete the delivery of this topsoil that we need by the summer, by the time school's out. There's a little question about how much we're going to need because we don't know how much the soil is going to push down. You know, so you put in 19 feet because you're trying to get to 15. Are we going to need to put more on top of it after all? Will it compact it quick enough? You know, we'll find out. The engineers think so, but we'll find out when the stuff is in place. Something else that makes this really important for us to have it done in the summertime is we're bringing back a variation on something that we did before. A couple of years ago, we did something called Circus Latino, which was a real circus. It was held on the edge on Hudson side of the old GM site on the riverside, and was a really great event. It was a circus tent, it was a circus, there was music. I felt it was wonderful because it was the first time I'd actually been to an event in the village, and I saw everybody from the village in every neighborhood was there in the same place at the same time, and that was a really great feeling. So we're doing the circus again in September, and we're doing it on the Common. So we can't do it with like giant dump trucks coming through in the middle of it or front loaders. Some of the kids might think that would be fun, but we need to get that done. So the big top will be back. There's a component that will be special for this circus. There's been a move on for many years in Europe to ban animals and live animals in circuses. That they feel that the elephants and the horses and the lions are abused, and it's not the proper way to treat them. So they've been moving away from that over the last few years, and what they've done to kind of replace that element in the circus has gone to holograms. And they have these giant holograms that are in the middle of the ring. If you've seen any of the pictures of them, they're pretty incredible. So this circus in Sleepy Hollow will include these holograms. The company that makes these holograms for most of the European stuff is in New York State. So one of the holograms that I expect to see at the circus is a headless horseman. This will be part of our year-and-a-half-long bicentennial celebration of Washington Irving. So, of course, we have to have a headless horseman. And I also want to thank New York State for their support here as well. In December, we learned that we were getting a grant of $160,000 to help us put on the circus. So thank you again, New York State. And thank you, Governor Cuomo. To date, the grant dollars that we've gotten for the infrastructure work on the Common, and the adjacent properties, DeVries Park and the Mechanical River, are just over $2 million, and that's over the last 13 months. So we're pretty pleased with those efforts, and we expect to continue them. And we will work hard to make sure that we can see those kinds of benefits come into the village in the coming months and the coming years.
I think you said 2 million, that's 4 million.
Did I?
Over 13 months, it's 4.
4 million, yes. We got just over 2 million this year. We got
1.5 last year, and then
1.58 last year, but who's counting? And the 35 and the 250 and the 375. So it's, I know you guys all added up real quick, but $4 million is real money. So we're very, very proud of that and pleased. And we look forward to continuing the project and being able to enjoy it with all of you. So that's my update on where we are there. If there's no other new business or old business, Ms. McCarthy Tompkins, you got any communications? Any? Okay. Then we'll move on to public comments. If anyone wishes to address the board, you may do so now. Yes, sir?
Hi, Mike Savitsky. First of all, I want to comment on Trustees Levy's presentation last week of the speed hump. Very insightful. What I respected most about it was Trustee Levy suggested that there'd have to be a buy-in by at least 75% of the street residents. I don't know if that made it into the resolution.
It's in there.
But it was an excellent proposal. That leads me into sidewalk cafes. Last week, Trustee Spiros asked the village administrator to solicit input from the Chamber of Commerce. I would conversely like to take on Trustees Levy's attitude and ask the administrator to solicit comments on that from residents of mixed-use buildings where there are restaurants before you add 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, or 1 year to the time that seasonal outdoor seating is allotted. I thank you all for your time all the time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to address the board? Okay, that completes our business. Can I get a motion? What?
I'd just like to recommend that we go into an executive session briefly to discuss a personnel matter.
Are you going to make a motion to that effect or just recommend?
I want to recommend and get your buy-in and then make a motion.
Hey, you get 3 other people to vote. And
Seconded.
moved and seconded, discuss a personnel matter.
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? All right, this is an executive session of the board. I expect that when we return, we will do nothing more than end the executive session and end the meeting. So thank you and good night.